We've driven to Indianapolis, and we're all set to go as we welcome you to Destination Indianapolis, presented to you by the all-new Infinity M. Glad to be with you here outside Lucas Oil Stadium. Hey, how are you folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be alongside MSG Network and Compass Media college basketball insider John Rothstein, former head coach of St. John's, Norm Roberts, breaking down every single part of the Final Four. And gentlemen, let's start with the big men of the four teams that are here for the Final Four. And Coach, I'll pose this question to you. When you look at these four teams in the front courts, which one has the biggest advantage?
Well, I would go with Duke because of their versatility and their size. The Plumlee brothers are so big, so athletic. Kyle Sigler can really shoot the basketball, and then they get great energy from Lance Thomas.
John, what are you looking at in terms of the four teams?
Well, I love West Virginia. They played in the toughest conference in college basketball, and they're not just big, they're long. They physically wear on you throughout each and every basketball game. It's like they start the game in the quicksand, and they pull you down further and further as the game wears along.
But let's start with that game then when you talk about these two front courts. And Coach, when you look at West Virginia and the different defenses they'll throw at you, Duke's coming off a game against Baylor where they had 23 offensive rebounds in every single second point possible. The different defenses that Bob Huggins is going to throw, how does that affect that?
Well, it could affect it, but I will tell you this. Zubek has done a great job. He's so big, so long. He doesn't jump very high, but he is 7 foot tall. And West Virginia doesn't have a guy that size. So he really causes havoc inside it, and he opens up things for Lance Thomas, Kyle Sigler, and then the Plumlee brothers to get to the glass.
You know, John, he brought up Kyle Sigler. He had a game, first time in his college career without a made field goal. That came against Baylor. Can they win if he doesn't succeed in this ballgame?
No, not today, because Kyle Singler's production will be a direct correlation to how Duke at the high post handles the zone. Duke did a tremendous job against Baylor, handling Baylor's 2-3 zone at the high post from Brian Zubek as the main facilitator. But West Virginia's longer, and it's a different type of zone. That 1-3-1 matchup zone poses all sorts of problems.
It does. It poses a ton of problems, but the thing that Duke can do is they can shoot it. And they can shoot it from deep. They're going to force you to shoot it from out there, and then they're going to attack the glass.
They're not going to go 4 of 32 from three like Kentucky did in the regional final. Coach, when you played West Virginia in the Big East, and obviously you know that their team, all those big men they have are so versatile. Which one are you looking at to be maybe the key for this team?
Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones out of New York is going to be a huge key because he's 6'8", but he can play out on the perimeter. He's very good at screening and popping. He's going to bring Zubek and those guys away from the basket, and he can shoot the three.
All right, let's switch to the Michigan State Butler game, the first one on CBS. It'll tip off at 6:07 Eastern. First time ever the 2 5 seeds have gone along. And, you know, John, Butler out-rebounded Kansas State by 12. They had 12 offensive rebounds. How difficult is that against Michigan State?
Well, it's really difficult because Michigan State is not going to their first rodeo. They've been through this before, and their core inside, Draymond Green, Raymar Morgan, Delvon Rowe, coach, they did the same thing 1 year ago.
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to beat up on Howard, and they're going to beat up on Haywood. And those guys have enough athletes at Michigan State to beat up on them, play away from the basket, guard Haywood, and really give Howard a lot of troubles in the post.
Having said that, though, as we're doing AT&T at the half for March Madness on Demand, Coach, we were sitting there, and you had a chance to see Gordon Hayward and all what he was able to do against Kansas State. Who matches up best for him for Michigan State? How do they try and defend Gordon Hayward?
Well, I think there's going to be a group of guys. It could be Delvon Rowe. It's going to be Raymar Morgan. It's going to be those guys. Summers may guard him because he plays so far away from the basket. You have to put a perimeter wing on him.
And one of the other things you talked about when we were doing MMOD, Coach, was the ability of Raymar Morgan and Draymond Green to handle the basketball. How crucial is that in this ballgame?
Well, that's big because Butler does a great job with the guards of pressuring. They're really going to pressure. You know that Michigan State's down a great guard, so they're really going to come and try to pressure Michigan State out of what they do.
All right, we'll talk about the guards in a different segment here on Destination Indianapolis, presented by the all-new Infinity M. But first, folks, don't forget to go to cbssports.com/memorabilia for a chance to enter the Inspired Coaches Sweepstakes and win a signed basketball by all four of the Inspired Coaches here in Indianapolis. Plenty more Destination Indianapolis, presented by the all-new Infinity M here on cbssports.com. Stay with us.